Before anyone says it, I could have done that in one. I thought I was going to do it a slightly different way. When I tried to do it, it didn't quite work. So that was it. Like that. Hopefully the back of the unit isn't going to foul where the pipe is. If anyone's noticed it, these little standoff clips, I didn't have any Munson rings or anything, so what I'll do sometimes is just cut a little bit of copper down, use a long screw and use that as a sort of like a clip extension, if you like, coming off the back there. Pop these two screws out, take this element out, cut this hose to length, fit it, push it back in and connect it back up. That's what it says in the Dyson instructions, that's what we'll do. Right, welcome back to the channel. I hope everybody is well. I thought I'd quickly jump on and do a little intro from the van because I don't think I've done one for a while. And I also want to say welcome to all the new subscribers we got to the channel. Brief outline, I'm Mark. The channel is Real World Plumbing. If something goes right, I show it. If something goes wrong, I show it. If I mess something up, I show it. And that's sort of like where the channel's been built from is me showing everyday stuff, really, you know, and the tagline sort of thing is Real World Plumbing because we show real world plumbing. Real world, easy for me to say. It's Saturday morning, still easy. I've had a hectic week. Real World Plumbing. If you're not subscribed to the channel, please hit that button, get subscribed. It just helps a little bit, as we all know, to make a bit more content. We all know how YouTube works. We don't need to go down that little rabbit hole of the whole subscriber content creation thing. I must be doing something right because lots of people seem to like the channel. So if you're not, hit the subscribe button, get subscribed, drop me a comment. I reply to most comments on there, hit the like button, etc. And I hope you enjoy this one. It's a little bit of a head scratcher. It's something I've never ever fitted before and I'd never ever seen until I flew out of Luton Airport a couple of weeks ago. And they were everywhere. These taps were everywhere. I'd never seen one in my life. Got presented with this one to fit. That's why I thought I'd do a standalone video on it. So hope you enjoy it. This video is how to fit a Dyson air and water tap, I think they're called, because obviously water comes out the centre, mixed water. Got two air blades either side. So hope you enjoy it. Drop me a comment below. Let me know. A, let me know if you've seen them about, and B, let me know if you've fitted one, and C, what you think to them. It'd be interesting to see what people's views are. Right, catch you in a bit. Hope you enjoy the video. Right, today we've got a really strange tap I'm fitting. I've never fitted one before. It is one of these Dyson air and water hand drying tap things. Now, I looked at this a while ago. It's at that job where we've been doing some urinals and toilets and that, but I thought I'd do a standalone video on fitting this because I've never seen one, let alone fitted one before. I've just unpacked it all, worked out exactly where it's going to go. It's obviously sitting in the top of this basin, but I've got to go through the instructions and work out exactly what's got to go where, how, when, and at what stage. So I'm going to get my head around it a little bit, and then I'll talk you through the process of fitting Dyson air and water tap. So first things first with it, straightforward enough. We're just going to sight it and fit it onto the basin straight through, nut on the bottom. Now these two connector hoses run internally through here, pop out the end there, and then connect into this unit here. But what we have got to do for our hot and colds, it's got to come out into a TMV, a thermostatic mixing valve, and then it's just mixed water coming out. So there's no way of altering the hot and cold on this tap. It already comes out mixed. So if we get the tap in, screw it all into place, and we can offer it in there and see exactly where we've got to site this unit. So that was it. Like that. So we've got the rubber washer and the back plate. Goes on the bottom of the tap. And then the backing nut, we've got two little screws on to sit into it like so, and then that screws up on the bottom of the tap. So with that backing plate on now, we just tighten it up, get them onto them screws, tighten them in, and then that holds the tap absolutely solid. There at the bottom, that'll be the feed for the tap. that'll be the sensor connection, and then we've got to put the air hose on, which is here, and then we can sight it in and see where that air hose is going to drop to where we sight that unit. So now we've got to feed these two tubes down here, and they've got their own certain bit that they come out the bottom. It's a bit of a fiddle, this is, to be honest. So do that one first, I think, is the trick. Yeah. So we'll get that one out through there, look. And then I assume that grommet sits in there. Yeah, like so. And then you can poke the other one down. Right then, with this hose now fitted into the bottom of the basin, as you can see it here, coming out the bottom there, flexio's there with the feed for the tap, and that's obviously the connection that triggers the sensor. This is going to sit into there, like so. It clips in, that cable there connects to that, this rubber hose goes onto there. So what we've got to do is put this into position, and then this unit will be screwed to the back of the cupboard like that, and then it's off the hot and colds at the bottom into a mixing valve and into the side there. So it's off of that in. I'm going to put the waste in once it's all in, so I've got a little bit more room. It's off of the basin in, and we can sort of gauge exactly where that's going to go. Right, hopefully the back of the unit isn't going to foul where the pipe is. Yeah, see, that's going to be alright. So this unit now, just put the camera here. This unit now can go about, give and take, about there. I was hoping it's going to be a little bit further up. So what I might do before we do that, before we screw that into place, is get these hot and colds across into a thermostatic mixing valve here and up, ready to go into that there. So we know where that's got to go, we know it's going to work. Let's bring our hot and colds across and connect up the TMV. So I've turned the water off in this building. It can't be off for too long here because it's running various different machines. So what I'm going to do is quickly cut these two hot and colds, pop a couple of press fit elbows on there, and put two isolation valves just in line there. I'm going to quickly get this done now so we can get the water back on. So we've got the hot and colds in now, got two isolation valves on them. We're ready now to put the thermostatic mixing valve in. We're going to sight it somewhere around there. Obviously hot this side, cold that side. They've got markings on them. Hot and cold, or as it should be, hot and cold, and then the mixed coming out of there. So if that goes there, for argument's sake, I'm not sure where it's going to sight yet, then it could come off straight into that. What we've done, we've connected the cable for the sensor. Now what we've got to do here, because that's, and it's really random and it shows this in the instructions here, where are we? This bit here, is pop these two screws out, take this element out, cut this hose to length, fit it, and then push it back in and connect it back up. So that's what it says in the Dyson instructions. That's what we'll do. But yeah, it's, I'm just, you know, the way it's coming out at a bit of an angle, so when that's on, it's going to be like so, a little bit of an angle, but it is what it is. So let's get them out. So if we put that one out there, and then this one here should release that unit for us to cut that bit of pipe. I reckon it's going to go about there. So if we cut that from the cutters, so take that unit out. That's what it's telling us to do. Put our Jubilee clip over there, pop that on, like so, and then get it all back in. It's a proper fiddle, this is, to be honest. That's it. Right, let's get the 2 screws back in there. And then just get this little Jubilee clip done up on here. There we go. So we've got that secured back now. This is the power feed. It's going to come in through the bottom here and connect into the connections here. It's one for the electricians to do when they're about, but what we can do now is mount the TMV and get it connected onto the side of the little unit. Right, I've been cracking on with this install underneath this sink. Haven't filmed too much of it up to this point, but it's just pipe work. We've got the hot and colds coming in, our 2 isolation valves, which I showed you, and then off there, just elbow up into our thermostatic mixing valve, elbow back. Before anyone says it, I could have done that in one. I thought I was going to do it a slightly different way, and when I tried to do it, it didn't quite work. So instead of taking all that out and losing that, I thought, sod it, just chuck a coupler on there and then I can extend up. So we've extended up back into the thermostatic mixing valve, into a shut-off valve where it comes out, and then a flexi, because that fit in there. To get onto that any other way would have been a real pain. So flexi straight into there, not ideal, but works for what we need it to. Everything's connected under there to the back. So what we can do now, with that off, I'm going to turn the water back on to at least the blending valve. So that's there and that's there. So that's that sorted. We've got water up to here. The electrician, hopefully he's coming back this afternoon. I'm not 100% sure. Scott's not sure if he's going to be coming, but he just needs to wire that up. I mean, I could do it, but I hate sort of getting involved too much, because if there is an issue, it'll come back on you. So I can get the cover onto it now, get it all connected in. I'll probably screw it back because the electrician can take it off, and then we've got to get the waste put onto there and into there. This side, this is the soap dispenser, so this just comes out. They can fill that up with soap, and then there's like a secondary soap tap here. Soap, water, air to dry your hands. I personally think it's a little bit overkill, but each to their own. So, right, it's going to get a connection on there and get the waste sorted. So what we use for the waste on this one, we've got a flip top Thomas Dudley waste here. So that'll go straight in there, no silicone on it, none needed, because what we're going to use the Thomas Dudley basin, mate. So this rubber, thick rubber washer sits up onto the thread, pushes right up, and because it's chamfered in the top here, it sits right within the basin to the thread of the waste. So that'll go in, and then on the bottom of that is like the retaining nut, and then that sits on the actual nut that tightens up into it. So I'll get it on, I'll show you exactly what I mean. So with the waste in like that, the first thing we do is pop on that chamfered thick rubber washer and just push that right up, and then the chamfered bit pushes into where the waste is, and then the white sort of retaining plastic one goes on there, just so that when the nut tightens up, again, no silicone on it, nothing, as the nut tightens up on it like so, that rubber washer pushes right into the basin and causes a seal, and it's 100% guaranteed leak free. So you just give it a little tighten up like so, job done. Waste in the top, connected on there, just get a trap on the bottom there, job done. So we've got our trap on now, just about to sort the waste out, and what I'm going to do is put a street elbow on there and bring that up like so, just because I've got to get this soap dispenser out at some point as well. We'll get that glued in, these fittings glued in, bit of pipe into the top, and then that's the waste done, and hopefully we can get the water on. And I just don't know whether it's going to come through or not without it having power, but we'll see. Also, if anyone's noticed it, these little standoff clips, I didn't have any Munson rings or anything, so what I'll do sometimes is just cut a little bit of copper down, use a long screw and use that as a sort of like a clip extension, if you like, coming off the back there. Little hack for you. I'm sure some people will know it. If you don't, that little thing can get you out of trouble sometimes. So, right, let's get this glued up. Let's just pop the rag underneath there, because you do get from time to time a little bit of glue dropping down. But what we'll do, we'll get this one glued in, and we can work off it, can't we? So pop that there, a bit of glue. Like so. Get that looking there. I'll get this glued up out of place and then pop that on. So we get these 45s glued up. Yeah, I've always used solvent for some reason. I think I've mentioned it before. I just do not like push fit waste pipes. I just find them, they move around, they fall apart really, really easily. So yeah, I've always been a solvent waste fan, to be honest. As long as you wipe it off and keep it clean, you're usually pretty good with it. And to be honest, I've never had one leak as well. He says this one will probably absolutely lash out everywhere. But, right. So we'll just get a little bit of pipe now up into the trap, and that's that done. We can get the cover then back on the unit. Right, now the waste's all finished, we can, in theory, turn the tap on, but as I said, I don't know if it's going to turn on. But looking at the instructions, obviously turn the water on, check for, it's funny, look, they just look there, an eye and some water, so check for leaks, and then it's got a picture of a switch to on, so that's what's making me think it's not going to allow us to. But we've got our connection here, we've got water up to here, so if I turn that on, that's it, water's onto it now. Obviously the TMV is preset, but yeah, no, it's not gonna, I know for a fact it's not gonna work. So we'll get the cover back on this, make sure everything's all right, give it a clean down. But in principle, that's as simple as it is to fit one of these Dyson air and water taps. Can't test it, but everything's there, piped up, isolation to the TMV, isolation off to the unit, air hose on, fittings on, we know we're not leaking, so yeah, waste connected. So then I've screwed the front cover back onto this now, just with the screws in there, and this side bit. Now it's just this front bit now that I assume, yeah, goes in like that and clips in, done. That's it, fit it. So we've got the water going to it. When the electricians wire it up, it will work as like a big sort of hand dryer, but with this going off to these 2 points on the tap. It'll be blowing your cold air out of there. Wave your hand underneath. There's 2 little sensors on the front. That'll trigger your water going in. So yeah, to be honest, do you know what? To be honest, it's fairly simple to put in. Sometimes when you unpack something like that, it just looks massively daunting, and you think, how does that go in? What do I need to do? But it's just a case of laying everything out, working out what goes where, planning it out a little bit before it goes in, but once it's in, it's pretty solid. So yeah, Sparky will connect that up. If he does it soon, we can test it, but I don't think he's going to get it done today. But they're the only water connections in it anyway, so wave around there, water come out, hand dried, soap dispenser there. I haven't fitted that, so I don't really know too much about that. I've got to plug that in somewhere or whatever, but yeah, there you go, Dyson air and water mixer tap fitted, easy as that.